Hi everyone, from this week we are going to have two series of video lectures on penetration testing. This topic is highly relying on practical activities, so by doing video lectures I am hoping that it gives you better opportunity to understand both theoretical and practical side of it. But what is the penetration testing? Penetration tests are a great way to identify vulnerabilities that exist in a system or network, which has an existing security measures in place. In penetration testing, trusted individuals perform attacking methods to identify the vulnerabilities existed in the system. The test can be as simple as scanning the IP addresses in the network to identify the open services with known vulnerabilities, or as complex as exploiting to take over the machine. All the results from these tests must be documented for the company or system owners, and solution to the existing vulnerabilities should be presented as well. There is a time frame for penetration test. It cannot last forever. It is a view of a system's security at a single moment in time. Nothing is changing during this time, including known vulnerabilities, weaknesses, or misconfigured systems. Penetration testing is often done for two reasons. This is either to increase upper management awareness of security issues or to test intrusion detection and response capabilities. It also helps in assisting the higher management in decision-making processes. The organization or company will address not all the vulnerabilities found during the assessment. It is costly and sometimes unnecessary to address all the weaknesses and vulnerabilities exist in the system. If penetration testing is not done properly, it can have consequences on organization network, such as DOS attack or congestion. Therefore, it is necessary to have consent from the management of the organization before conducting a penetration test on its system or network. There are different penetration testing methodologies available. We are going to use Information System Security Assessment Framework, or ISAF, in our lectures. This methodology provides technology-based risk assessment checklist complemented by a mapping tool that provides management with a graded risk analysis report. Other penetration testing methodology available are Open Source Security Test Methodology Manual, or OSSTMM, and NIST SP 842. There are 5 phases in ESAF penetration test management. Phase 1 planning, 2 assessment, 3 treatment, 4 accreditation, and 5 maintenance. In this lecture, we are going to talk about assessment more than anything else. Planning, treatment, accreditation, and maintenance are not the main focus of our lectures. We are going to focus more on assessment. Assessment is basically what you are going to do, how to perform the test. So we are going to talk about the softwares that we are going to use and methods, and how we're going to set up our network. The first phase includes all requirements and planning to start the test. In order to make the penetration test done on an organization a success, a great deal of preparation needs to be done. That includes information gathering, project chartering, resource identification, budgeting, bidding and estimating, work breakdown structure (WBS), and project kickoff. Phase 2 is assessment, which is our main focus of this unit. It includes inherent risk assessment and control assessment. Inherent risk assessment should be done before the control assessment. Why? Because we always need to have enough information to start on the control assessment. One of the examples of inherent risk assessment is the web server, which is always susceptible to DOS attack. And also control assessment. When we talk about it, most of the people think that we all have to work on the computers. But for most of the time, you have to spend lots of time to look at the legal and regularity compliances, policies, and security operation management or business continuity management. You also need to do the penetration testing, which is enterprise information system security and controls. That's the part that you are actually going to use the software and hacking tools to check the network or do the penetration testing. Phase 3 is treatment. In this phase, vulnerabilities found in phase 2 are going to be addressed. Not all of them are going to be fixed because it's going to be very costly for the companies, but they are going to be addressed and acknowledged. Phase 4 is accreditation. If the system has been accessed, then there should be accreditation and certification in place. The evaluation and reporting should be done as well. Phase 5 is maintenance. Maintenance includes regular patching and maintaining the system. Maintenance is not the end of the project. The whole process needs to be repeated on regular time basis. Okay, now we're going back to phase 2, which is the assessment, and we're going to talk about the scheduling in controls assessment. The first step in this phase is information gathering. After doing the necessary planning and preparation with the organization or target, the next step is to gather as much information as possible about the targeted system or network. There are endless resources and tools available online to do the information gathering. The best place to start is Target's online website. Remember, information is power, so any kind of information gathered in this stage can be useful for us and need to be documented. There are lots of places that you can start your information gathering. It can be as simple as locating the target website presence, examine the target using search engine, or check the DNS. Remember, in this step we are not touching the target and it is just a process of gathering information. And never forget to take screenshots and document information that are going to be useful for us for the next step and penetration testings. But what to document? These are some of the examples of information you have to document while you're doing the information gathering. Alexa is a web information company. By typing the name of the website in here and do the search, you can get some information about your website. There are two versions of it. There's a paid one, which is a pro, and the free one. For this test, I'm just going to use the Curtin website. So just type in curtin.edu.au and do the search. So these are the results coming from the search. How popular is curtin.edu.au is? How engaged are the visitors to the Curtin website? Who visits it? Which countries are the first one or the main ones using this website? Where do curtin.edu.au's visitors come from? Upstream sites. Where do curtin.edu.au's visitors go next? And the sites linked to Curtin. So all this kind of information that you can document for later on. The next tool we are going to use is DNS Watch. It gets a detailed reports about the DNS lookup performance on any DNS name server. So we put the Curtin address again and do the test. Through the test, you can see that we found the IP address. So we are going to record that. Another tool to use is DNSBL. DNSBL is mostly used to publish the addresses of computers or networks linked to a spamming. So by putting the DNS address in here, we can find out whether it has been blocked before or not. So waiting for the results to come. As you can see, it hasn't been blocked, so there was no recording for spamming on the Curtin website or DNS server. Network mapping or network survey is the next part of the assessment. The goal here is to find the number of systems that are reachable. The expected results that should be obtained from a network surveying should consist of domain names, server names, internet service provider information, IP addresses of hosts involved, as well as a network map. A network survey will also help us to find the domain registry information for the service. This allows us to check and see the range of IP addresses that are owned by the targeted organization. The first part of the network mapping is identifying the live host. To do that, there are a couple of tools available, including ping, nmap, hping, traceroute, and tpc traceroute. In the lab and in this lecture, we are going to use nmap. Nmap is a very useful tool to conduct a network survey. Nmap is a tool made up for scanning large networks. We could also use Nmap to find what operating systems are running on a network, as well as the type of packet filters or firewalls are in use, and numerous other characteristics. For our Nmap search, we are going to use our own private network. We're making this network for a couple of reasons. First of all, we don't want to run the hacking tools on the main network. The second reason is by having certain number of computers in the system, we make the searches faster. A router is going to act as an ISP and DHCP server. There is a switch and the machines are connected to that switch. There is no configuration on this switch. We are going to use Kali Linux for our penetration testing. Kali Linux is a Debian-driven Linux distribution designed for digital forensics and penetration testing. The other two machines are the target machines. You can load one of them in Mac and the other one in Windows. In this example that I'm going to show you, I will load them both in Windows. To use the nmap, open a terminal on Kali Linux and type in the command nmap. After nmap, then you have to put the type of the scan or the method of a scan you're doing. We start with the ping scanning, so we put -sp. And then after that, you can put either a network or range of addresses or a single address. We start with the range of addresses. Okay, now you can see from the output here that it shows the hosts which are up on the network and the MAC addresses as well. So it tells you if they are Mac or Windows machines. So the hardware are Apple or Mac and Cisco. So if you put the single address of the Cisco system or a router, we can do the scan only on that device. And this is the output which shows that the host is up with some more information. So by now we know that there are 3 devices in this topology, one Cisco system and the other one are Apple hardware. Now if firewall blocks the ICMP echo request packets, other ICMP packets can be used for port scanning, such as PE, double P or timestamp, and network or PM. We are going to see all these examples here. First, we start with PE and the range of network. You can see that it shows each devices in the network with the addresses and if they're up or not, and the open ports. So all the TCP open ports are shown here. Then we can test that on our router. So it's a single addresses, so 1.1. So instead of the range, now we put 1. And you get the output only for that device. Okay, that's the output. So you can see that the telnet and HTTP are open on the router. Now if we test the network for the timestamp or double P, you can test the results there. So first we put the range of addresses and we get the output similar to what we got before. And now we tested for the single address or the address of the router. Our output are going to be very similar because there's no firewall at the moment. Now we tested for the PM or the network. Again, it's very similar, the open ports and the addresses, the IP addresses. And then we tested for the single address. So test the network for the single address. Okay, now we do the TCP port scans. We start with the SYN or SYN scan. So put nmap minus SS and the range of the addresses in our network. And this is the result. You can see that the result we received are very similar to what we got before. Again. So after doing the SYN scan, we are going to try the FIN or FIN scan. So nmap minus SF and the range of the network address. Now you can see which hosts are up. You need to observe the information received from the nmap commands and write it in your lab report. So analyze the stuff that you receive from the output of each nmap commands. Okay, now we try the acknowledgement or minus SA. And the last one for the TCP port scanning is TCP connect or minus ST. So I receive this output. So far we only scanned the TCP ports. Now to scan the UDP port, we need to use the command nmap with minus SU. This time I only do it on the router because it takes too long. These commands may take a while to give you the output. So this is the result you receive from the UDP port scan. As I said, it takes a while to give you this output. So you can see which UDP port is open and which one's closed. This is only on the router. Now to check the protocol or a scan for the protocol, you can use the minus SO. So this is the result you receive from the minus SO or protocol scanning. Make sure to include the screenshot and the explanation of the nmap commands in your lab report. Now, Nmap provides a simple method for identifying RPC services or minus SR. And the output from the minus SR or RPC service scanning. The more complex method that can identify a much greater number of services is minus SV. So this is the output from minus SV. Now the last one is to identify the host OS or operating system. Just do that with the nmap and minus O and the address of the device. You can also put the range of addresses here as well. The output for operating system scanning shows that the operating system is Cisco. Sometimes you might not be able to receive any output. So that's it for this lecture. Make sure to do the lab based on this lecture. It's already up on the blackboard. And next time we talk more about the other methods of penetration testing.